let's start then with our tunic here for our character. So I'm going to open PureRef real quick. And the main thing that I want to do in this first video is just to get a very basic shape of the thing that's going to be below the tunic. Okay, this is very, very important. So as you guys know here, yes, we have this sort of like priest tunic that's going over everything, but you can see that there's an empty area right here. So if we don't do an undershirt, it's going to be very difficult to create something. Now, again, here, I'm going to take a couple of artistic liberties and I'm going to go into this sort of effect. So we are going to have a robe. We're going to have a tunic that's going to go over everything to cover the character. But I want to have this sort of like a puffy sleeves on the side of the character, as well as a normal shirt and some pants. So let's go over here to the character, to Marvel Designer, and let's create a very basic shirt. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to, let's make sure that we have our fabric over here. There we go. I'm going to add a new fabric. And this new fabric is going to be called cotton. Okay, and I am going to give it this sort of like dark grayish color. It's not going to be pure dark black, but it's going to be a dark color. And whatever like fabric you have selected right here, if you create any pattern, you're going to get that sort of effect on your character. So for the shirt, we're going to start very simple. I'm going to go here to my polygon creation tool. I'm going to start on the center of the neck. I'll go out. I'll go over here. Click and drag so we get this sort of like a round cut on the shirt. Go right here, and I don't want this to be like close to the body. It's going to be a sort of like a long shirt, so it's going to go all the way over here. Then we go to the center, and we click up here, and that's it. What this will do is, of course, it will create the first pattern for our character. Now, immediately after I have this, I'm going to say Control D to duplicate this with symmetric pattern and sewing. You remember this, right? Now, keep in mind that even though they're symmetrical, they're not sewn together. So we need to go here, segment sewing, and sew the front part of our shirt. There we go. Now, I'm going to grab these two guys right here, Control C, Control B. We're going to duplicate them. And these guys, of course, are going to be the back part of our element. So we rotate this around. Might be a little bit difficult to see which side is which, but I'm fairly centered. This is the right side, the normal side. And now over here in the 3D view, we need to do a couple of extra sewings. So we're going to grab our sewing line, segment sewing. We're going to sew from here to here, and from here, here to here. There we go. There we go. And then from here to here. And as you can see, since these guys are symmetrical again, we're going to be able to save ourselves quite a bit of time. Let's do the simulation, and boom, we got this. Now, this is very, very form-fitting. As you can see right here, the shirt is going like very close to the character. So the first thing I want to do here to make this thing a little bit like nicer is I'm going to grab everything. I'm just going to make it slightly bigger. We went too close to the pattern lines of our character. So this is going to give us a slightly better effect. Now, this is one thing that you're going to see happen quite a bit, where the cloth is going to like interact or bundle up with the character. Again, it's very, very common. So the best thing I can suggest for you to do there is to make sure that you just tuck it out of the avatar of the character. We can increase or change a couple of things, but in this particular case, it's not really going to make that much of a difference. Now, one reason why this is looking a little bit feminine, if I may say so, is because of the cut, right? Like it's a very like clean cut. So one of the things that we can do is let's go to the edit pattern option, grab this point right here, and I'm going to push them out. I'm going to go to this one right here. I'm going to push them out as well. And there we go. So that one, it's going to look, now it looks like a dress. Looks a little bit odd, but that's fine. Like in medieval times, they used to have this sort of like garments going for the characters. Also, the neckline right here is very odd. So I'm going to go to edit curvature right here. And we're going to edit the curvature so that we have a sort of more round effect right here. On the back side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this pattern. I'm going to push this guy up. And that way we're going to have a straight neck on the back of the character. Now, I also feel like this point right here, which is the armpit point, is very close to the armpit. So I'm going to push this one out. And of course, this one we need to do the same thing. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but just like moving that, it's going to give me a sort of more relaxed fit there for the character. Okay, that's not that. Now, I do want to add a belt. A belt is going to be important because it's going to allow us to hold a lot of the garments together. So, similar to how we did this before, I'm actually going to add a new fabric. And I'm going to change the color of the fabric to sort of like dark brown. There we go. And I'm going to add a rectangle right here. I'm going to grab, cancel. Let's grab the pattern, this one, right click, and we're going to unfold to get the other side. Remember the attachment points, right? So we're going to go here to the avatar, show arrangement points, and we're going to arrange it right there. Before we do the simulation, this is very important. I'm going to select this pattern and I'm going to change the layer to 1 because this thing is going to be on top. I'm actually going to set this to 2 because eventually we're going to have the pants. So it's going to be pants and then the shirt, or sorry, actually it's going to be the shirt, then the pants, and then the belt. So we're going to tuck the shirt inside of the pants, and therefore we need to make sure that this is the last piece right now. And of course, we need to do a segment sewing here from this point to this point right there. And when we do this, this is what we're going to get. And you can see that the belt might be a little bit too like stiff. It doesn't feel that bad. We can, of course, like move it around. One thing we can do if we want this to be leather, or we can strengthen this, and we're going to get this very, very interesting effect right here. We're going to talk about other elements later on. I don't think I've talked about strengthened yet. I'm getting confused from another course that I did not so long ago. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to make this a little bit longer. It's going to give me a little bit of a looser belt. There we go. And here on the fabric, I'm trying to see if there's anything. I mean, we can do a little bit of elastic, but I really don't want to do elastic. So I'm just going to like push this down. There we go. That's a little bit better. And once we find something that we like, we can just like freeze it. I feel like we need a little bit more. The strengthen is gonna keep it as name implies a little bit more strongly. I'm gonna reduce this to 10 on the particle distance. We get a little bit more effect right there. There we go. Too much, really? Really, really big. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now we start reducing the size a little bit so that it holds the area a little bit better. Cool. And now what we can do is we can freeze this guy. We can Control K to freeze it and run the simulation and just like untug this a little bit right there. It's kind of like floating outside of the belt. That's also going to give us some interesting wrinkles. So even though it's frozen, it's still going to like apply some of the physics to the object. Now for the sleeves, this is where it can get a little bit tricky because we definitely need to create some sleeves. As I mentioned, we want to have a little bit of a sort of like a nice tucked sleeve with the gloves or something. I really like this one right here. And actually, I want to show you how to do those like a division on the patterns. So we're going to do some interesting sleeves here. I'm going to go to my polygon creation tool and we're going to create a polygon right around the size of the arm. So right around there. Now, this is very important. Technically, this like element right here is the one that we want to have on the top part, and this one over here is of course going to be on the wrist side of the things, right? Well, I'm going to grab this character or this element right here, and we need to create the other object. We need to create like the double element of this guy. So I'm going to go to the pattern, I'm going to right click, and we're going to unfold. What this will do is it will again unfold it to the other side, and this is what we're going to get. Now, as you can see, this looks very sort of like squarish. I'm going to delete these points. We don't really need them anymore. And I'm going to make them a little bit longer so that I don't forget which is the long side and which is the short side. Now over here, I'm going to grab this guy. We're going to turn on the arrangement points. We're going to arrange it in such a way that it goes to this position right here. But as you can see, if we do this arrangement, it's actually going the other way. It's not like doing the rotation that we want to have. So I'm going to grab this guy, rotate 90 degrees, and now we're going to go over here. And as you can see, now this follows the long shape. Very important. This again, for whatever reason, the sleeves here inside of Marvelous need to go from top to bottom so that the capsules and everything that we're using, these arrangement points, work like properly. Now we're going to go to the segment sewing, and I'm going to sew, of course, this segment to this segment, which is the inside of the element. And if we select the horn pattern, we can just press Control D, get it over here. And as you can see, we're going to have it already on the other side, which is going to make it a little bit easier for us to get the thing to work the way we want. Now, the next challenge that we have with this element is that the opening on the armpit is not the exact same size as the opening that we have on our arm slots. So as you can see right now, we have 338.2, and over on this side, we have multiple segments, and the distance or the addition of all of the segments gives us 485.8. So if we just sew them together, since we have a lot of cloth and not a lot of cloth on one side or fabric, we're going to get a lot of wrinkles on the chest area, and this is going to look very like pressed towards the element. So usually sleeves are a little bit bigger on the armpit or closer to the armpit than they are going towards the wrist, of course. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to match this 485 on this top part right here. You just need to double click this one right here, or actually we can just select this one, right click, change length, and say 485.5. Hit enter. and that's going to give me the exact like measurement that we want to have. Ideally, you want to kind of like move this around just so that it's a little bit more center, and this is the effect that we're going to have. Now we need to do or use a technique that we haven't used before, which is called free sewing. So I'm just going to bring this one right here. Let's bring this one over here, and just to keep things a little bit more organized, let's go like right around there. You usually want to have your graph here or your 2D view organized in such a way that it's easy to understand where things are going. So we know that this is the bottom part of the armpit, which is where all of the sewing lines are going to like attach to. So I'm going to go to my edit sewing or to my, free sewing tool. I'm going to click this point right here, and I'm going to go roughly to the middle point. You can actually like just guesstimate. Oh, go there. Like right around there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it was what, 485, so half of it is going to be 242, right? So right around there, 241, that's fine. And then I'm going to click on this point and go all the way to the top part right there. And what this should give me is the proper connection of the points right here. So as you can see, there's the lines going to that specific point. Then I'm going to go from the center to the last part, and we're going to go to the opposite one from the center. Actually, I started here, so we need to start on the proper direction right there. And this should give us the other like rotation right there. Let's do a simulation and see if we nailed it. We did nail the first part, but it seems like the second part didn't get attached. So let's try again. Let's go with our sewing length, free sewing. We're going to go from the point up. Will be from this point up. There we go. And that's it. So now, as you can see, we get this very nice like connection on the armpit. We get enough fabric so that it doesn't look like extremely like loose or extremely tight. There's again enough room for that for the character, and we don't get any like pointy bits or anything. As soon as we increase the amount of resolution, things are going to be a little bit better. Now he's going to be wearing some gloves, and the gloves are going to be like up here. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to create kind of like an elastic effect on this side. That's going to be hiding everything, and it's going to allow me to later on create the pattern lines that we want for this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the line that we have down here, right click, and I'm going to offset an edge or an internal line. 50 millimeters seems about right. There we go. And I'm going to right click that line and do a cut and sew. This is happening on both sides as well, as you guys know. And then we can select this guy right here and change this to elastic as we've done before. See why I made all of the videos on the first chapter? Because we're going to be using all of those tools. And at this point, you should already know what all of these tools are doing. So let's definitely bring the traction here inside. Now, as you can see, we are having a little bit of an issue where the collision box of the character is not allowing me to really like push this or get this closer to it. Remember that there's another physical property here, which is this one. Where is it? On the thickness collision, we're going to bring this down to like a 1. That should allow me to get a slightly nicer effect. But even if it's not like super close to the character, actually, what else is it? Let's try doing a smaller version as well. There we go. The smaller version is definitely working. So we're going to make it a smaller fabric there as well. And we just start bringing this up. Oh, careful there. We don't want to overdo it because then it becomes a little bit difficult. But I do want to have this sort of like puffiness on the effect right there. There we go. That's a little bit better. Start tweaking this, getting it out, and look at how nice all of these wrinkles look here on the character. So he's going to have this sort of like long gloves. Actually, want to a little bit more. He's going to have this long gloves. And if at any point we see the outside of the tunic, we're going to be able to see this very nice fabrics. Again, I might be doing something like this where the robe is not like a full robe. So we're not going to have this sort of like full robe going into the gloves. And it's going to have like this open sleeves, and it looks good. Even those details right there, those look quite nice. If you want to add them, it's just a matter of adding another point right there. But yeah, that's it, man. Man, I'm getting too casual here. That's it, guys. That's the end of this video. We're gonna stop it right here. We got this very basic construction of our tunic, and in the next one, we're gonna be doing some pants, and then we're gonna do a very basic mask for the character. This is gonna be like the thing that's gonna be on top of our face. That's gonna be later on holding the mask as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, my friends. Get to this point, and I'll see you back on the next one.